I love the look of luxury, but knowing that I got it at a great price. And I feel like you're like me too. And that's why I know you're going to love Quince. Quince is my go-to for luxury essentials at affordable prices. I get DMs all the time. Where did you get that sweater? I'm telling you, I got it at Quince. You know why? They offer high quality items at prices within reach. And the best part, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. So they do this by partnering directly with top factories. So Quince cuts the cost of the middleman and then passes the savings on to us. And the best part, it only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. And who doesn't love that? In fact, the thing you need to get right now are the toasted almond silk pajamas. It's a beautiful gift for someone in your life or just for yourself. So give yourself the luxury you deserve with Quince. Go to quince.com/KKC for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/KKC to get your free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/KateCasey. Did you know that Fast Growing Trees is the biggest online nursery in the US with thousands of different plants and over 2 million happy customers? They have all the plants your yard needs, like fruit trees, privacy trees, flowering trees, shrubs, and so much more. Whatever plants you're interested in, Fast Growing Trees has you covered. You can find the perfect fit for your climate and space. Fast Growing Trees makes it easy to get your dream yard. You order online and get your plants delivered directly to your door in just a few days, without ever leaving home. Their Alive and Thrive guarantee ensures your plants arrive happy and healthy. And plus, you get support from trained plant experts on call to help you plan your own landscape, choose the right plants, and learn how to care for them. For example, I knew that I was in the growing zone 10 and I picked out the most perfect lemon tree. It's so cute. It makes me so happy every time I walk outside. This spring, they have the best deals for your yard, up to half off on select plants and other deals. And listeners to this show get 15% off their first purchase when using the code KateCasey at checkout. That's an additional 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code KateCasey at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code KateCasey. Now's the perfect time to plant. Use Kate Casey to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey. I hope that you're having a great start to your week, and I hope that you listened to yesterday's episode of what to watch this week, because there are so many great reality shows and documentaries this week that I think that you're really going to love. As always, make sure that you are not only subscribed to this podcast, which is so important because you will be alerted to new episodes, but also to that what to watch list, because I am telling you, I'm going to save you so much time each week, prevent you from scrolling through countless websites, trying to find something interesting to watch. And it really provides such great conversation for the people in your life. And again, you can get that at katecasey.substack.com. Easy to sign up. Also, make sure that you're in the Facebook group, Reality Life with Kate Casey. I got to tell you, the people in this group are so funny, so astute. And we're talking about great books and movies and other things. So it's not just about podcast, and great to jump in. And then, of course, the bonus episodes, which I know I give you a lot during the week. I give you even more. And I tell a lot of the behind the scenes stories of the show, but also lots of true crime stuff, lots of stuff about the aristocracy, which I find endlessly fascinating, pop culture. In fact, I just did a crossover with Amy Phillips, who did Reality Checked on Radio Andy for years and now has a podcast. And we talked about Southern Charm. So make sure that you go and check that out. Now, speaking of Southern Charm and Summer House, we've been watching the breakup of Paige and Craig, and it's really quite interesting because Paige is on Summer House and Craig is on Southern Charm. And each show is really showcasing their own perspective of their life and their breakup, which usually with like a Real Housewives, you get just the female perspective, the wife's perspective. So it's always kind of interesting to hear the other point of view. And we have the luxury of seeing it from two different points of view over time now. So I've said it before, I'll say it again. Breaking up is so hard. It's so painful. But the good news is that in time, you will likely be grateful for the time that you spent with somebody and for the fact that you may never have gotten married or didn't prolong the relationship way too long. It takes time to see it. And when you first break up, it's so painful and you're finding all the reasons you should have never been together. In some ways, you may even be wondering, why didn't anybody tell me? But we all know that we're really into somebody. The last thing you want to hear is a buzzkill. So it's natural, it's expected to be kind of angry and feel like I wasted time. But again, in time, we all kind of find the ways to be grateful for a relationship because it told us so much about who we are and what we really want. And then in time, you see that the breakup helped you move into an emotional and physical space to be with the person that you're much better suited for. I promise you this. And I would say the same to both of them. And I'm sure it's very painful for them to have both of these stories play out. So what I think is interesting is that on Peacock, they have these behind the show, like after the show, small episodes. So if you don't have the luxury of waiting for a reunion to air at the end of a season, you can just pop in and watch these episodes. And I think it gives you great context for the way in which a lot of the cast members felt during the duration of filming, how they're looking back to it. And it gives you kind of a sense of what to expect in the reunion. So I thought this was interesting. This week on the Summer House after show, you get to see a moment between Paige, Amanda, and Sierra about this season. And they talk about the Paige and the Craig breakup. So in the fall of 2024, so just this last fall, Paige shared on her podcast that she'd been experiencing panic attacks before her podcast live shows. And Craig had said at the time to E! News, she's on this journey trying to figure it out because it came out of nowhere with regard to the panic attacks. So now on this Summer House after show, Paige gives some more information. She says those panic attacks were actually connected to Craig. She said, I had to do a lot of damage control while I was the one performing and about to go out on stage. So when I started having panic attacks this fall while I was doing the podcast tour, he, as in Craig, just thought it was because I worked too much. So it played into this, well, you work too much and you shouldn't be doing all of this. And they're asking, well, did he realize that maybe he was part of that problem? And she said, no, it would never be his fault. No. So she's having this realization that at a very stressful time that perhaps the person that she was with may have contributed to it. And I think that Craig at the time thought, well, you're so overwhelmed with work, maybe you should dial it back on work. So this is what I thought was interesting, of course, because, I'm like the documentary crazy person. So at the end of Summer House's episode 5, Craig takes Paige to a restaurant and he voiced concerns over this podcast tour. He said, I know you're going to choose work 10 times out of 10 right now in our lives, but if we were married and if we had kids, you can't choose work all the time. This, of course, enrages a lot of people because I think a lot of times you watch these shows and you kind of think about your own life experiences, and it reminds you of someone in your life or something that happened to you. And so it seems to me that there are a lot of differing opinions, and it's probably based on someone's own life experience. And I thought it was interesting that Amanda had said that Craig tried to convince Paige that she was wrong to do her podcast tour by recommending a documentary. And then, of course, I'm like, wait, what? So Paige says, after I had my panic attack, he had watched a documentary about the band ABBA. Of course, I'm like, I know exactly which one. And he told me to watch this documentary because it's about how tours ruin their marriages and their lives. And then Amanda chimed in saying, Paige is struggling and this man is like, hey, watch this to prove that I'm right. There are so many things in life we just never get around to. Taking up that hobby, cleaning out the garage, the little things that don't really make huge differences in our lives. Yet, there's one thing that most of us have probably been neglecting that can have a huge impact on our family's future. It's life insurance. And with SelectQuote, getting covered with the right policy for you is easier and more affordable than you may think. SelectQuote is one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, helping over 2 million customers find over $700 billion in coverage since 1985. If you have high blood pressure, no problem. If you have diabetes, that's fine too. And even if you have heart disease, SelectQuote partners with carriers that can cover those conditions and others. Head to SelectQuote.com and a licensed insurance agent will call you right away with the right policy for your life and your budget. SelectQuote, they shop and you save. So get the right life insurance for you for less at SelectQuote.com/realitylife. Go to SelectQuote.com/realitylife today and get started. That's SelectQuote.com/realitylife. This show is sponsored by Liquid IV. Now, you know I've said that my goal this year is to stay more hydrated. You can gift yourself the everyday indulgence of extraordinary hydration from Liquid IV, powered by Live Hydroscience. They've got true-to-fruit flavors that keep you hydrated. And you can find all your favorite hydration multiplier flavors on their website. I have to say my favorite flavor is the sugar-free raspberry lemonade because it's a bright, zero sugar flavor combining notes of ripe, freshly picked raspberries and citrusy, zesty lemon. And it really gets me going on my day. I think you're going to love it too. I like feeling like I'm hydrated all day long. And if you're somebody who's outdoors or plays sports, this is an absolute must-have. You can break the mold and own your own ritual. Just 1 stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. It's 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink. And also 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. Treat yourself to extraordinary hydration from Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code KateCasey at checkout. That's 20% off your first order with code KateCasey at liquidiv.com. So, I watch all these documentaries and I thought the good people of the world would love for me to give some context. So if they saw this clip, not only on the after show, but play out on social media, maybe I can explain what happened in this ABBA documentary. Again, it's called ABBA Against the Odds. You can watch it on Apple TV Plus and Amazon Prime. So ABBA is this Swedish Europop band. It was among the most commercially successful groups in the history of popular music. You cannot go, dare I say, to any wedding without hearing a song by ABBA. So the documentary tells the story of their greatest period of musical achievement, and it is framed between the albums Arrival in 1976 and Super Trooper in 1980, and tells the story of their deeply personal and perilous journey through their most transformative years and their rise to global fame. When I say global fame, I mean, who could we compare it to today? I don't even know if we can, because there were far less artists at that time who were selling the amount of albums that they were. People were obsessed because it was 4 people in the band with 2 couples and they were married. Everyone was obsessed with their story and they were truly traveling all over the world. So within this band, you have Agnetha and Bjorn, and they divorced in 1980 and the other couple divorced in 1981. And that was a lot due to their divorces, but also creative differences, which led to their bands disbanding. So Agnetha is the blonde when you see the picture of the band. She was the blonde and Bjorn was one with the facial hair. They had 2 children together. Their first child, Linda, was born in 1973, and then their son, Peter, was born in 1977. So when you're watching the documentary, Agnetha is reflecting on the hardship of becoming so famous and having this opportunity to tour, but also having new babies at home. And at that time in the 1970s, it was unheard of for you to take your children with you. And to put into perspective, like what an artist has to do when they're traveling. You think of Taylor Swift and the time it requires for just one show. The rehearsals, the time that it takes to perform, that's hours. And then you're there after, and then the wind down from it. And then you add in the touring, the travel, and they're really traipsing across the world. So what she says in the documentary is, I left the babies at home. And when I felt like I returned like months later, like not like, a couple days later, like months later, I felt like my children did not know who I was. And she carried far more regret about that than her husband. Now, it should be noted that they, of course, divorced. He found a new girlfriend within a week, and that reportedly put her into counseling. And she just said that song, The Winner Takes All, was about that period of time. The lyrics said, "Tell me, does she kiss like I used to kiss you?" And she wrote a book in 1997, and she said, "We always told the media that it was a happy divorce," which of course was a front. Obviously, we all know there's no such things as happy divorces, especially when there are children involved. So again, they're this international sensation. It's the 1970s. Most artists now travel with their kids. That was unheard of at the time. And she was leaving those children for months. So I think that should Paige watch this documentary, it sounds like she may not have because she was so enraged. She would see that was such a, like, it's just a preposterous, comparison. It's like comparing grapes to watermelons. And I think, you take into account, he's at a time in his life where he really wants to get married and settle down. She's striking the iron while it's hot. It is far more stressful to be with a biological clock and the amount of time that it takes you away from dreams and work when you're the one having a baby. I think we can all agree on that. But just fascinating for me. I was like, wow, the good people are going to need my help. I can give them context on this ABBA documentary. So you can watch it too. Listen, you're not going to watch it and go, Paige and Craig have a point. But you will think, oh my gosh, this band is unbelievable. The amount of success and their incredible talent. So it's called Against All Odds. And again, you can watch it on Apple TV Plus and Amazon Prime. I think I've done a couple episodes where I talk about the best music documentaries. That's a good one too. And if you have not watched, by the way, the Avicii documentary, which the other day somebody was asking me, like, what can I watch that's going to make me happy? Now, Avicii was this incredible producer and he died by suicide. However, the documentary about him is really a love letter to him as a person, but his immense talent. I didn't really understand his career and talent until I watched it, and I cried, wept at the end. It is a beautiful documentary. So you can watch that on Netflix too. Just put in Avicii, AVICCI in the search button. Okay, now we move forward to a new doc series. Now, I wanted to say that this episode right now will cover matters of sexual abuse of a minor. So if this is a triggering subject, I wanted to give you a very fair warning. Investigation Discovery has a new 6-part series. It's called Hollywood Demons, and it pulls back the glamorous curtain of fame to expose the hidden struggles, sacrifices, and scandals of life in the spotlight. I filmed it last summer. I'm in the episode about Real Housewives that airs on April 14th. Now, the first episode that airs this week focuses on Stephen Collins, an actor who began a career in theater and later parlayed it into TV and film. His first TV series was the short-lived Tales of the Gold Monkey and teamed up with well-known actor Roddy McDowall. He earned an Emmy nomination for the acclaimed miniseries The Two Mrs. Greenvilles, which is based on a book by one of my favorites, Dominic Dunn. The role in which he was best known, however, is playing Reverend Camden on the family drama Seventh Heaven, which in its 11th season passed The Waltons and The Little House on the Prairie to become the longest-running family drama in TV history. That series was set in a fictional town of Glen Oak, California, and was centered around Reverend Camden, which was played by Stephen Collins, and his wife Annie, played by Catherine Hicks, as they deal with the drama of raising 7 children, which ranged in age from babies to adults with families of their own. Actors in the series included Barry Watson and Jessica Biel and made them breakout stars. The show is praised for its positive portrayal of a man of faith and for promoting honesty, respect for parental authority, and the importance of a strong family in the storylines. In fact, the Parents Television Council, the PTC, a conservative media advocacy group, often cited Seventh Heaven among the top 10 most family-friendly shows. The council also explained Seventh Heaven managed to provide moral solutions to tougher issues facing teenagers without seeming preachy or heavy-handed. Additionally, unlike most TV series, Seventh Heaven showed the consequences of reckless and irresponsible behavior. The producer, Aaron Spelling, said it was the show he was most proud of making. Well, in 2012, a recording of Stephen Collins during a marriage counseling session with his estranged wife, Faye Grant, was released by TMZ. That audio included Stephen Collins admitting to 3 incidents of sexual misconduct. He said that Faye had secretly recorded every disturbing word, and he didn't know his wife was wearing a wire until she told him after one of those sessions. Quote, "She took me into a stairwell and she told me there. She said, I was wearing a wire, I recorded that session, and then said, here's our settlement, you're going to sign it now, or that recording is going to find its way to the media." Now, she denied being the source of that leak. I woke up one day to learn that an extremely private recording I had handed over to authorities in 2012 per their connection with a criminal investigation was recently disseminated to the press, and I had no involvement whatsoever with the release of the tape to the media. In a statement to ABC News, she said Stephen's statements about me are false and appear to be an attempt by him to deflect from his conduct. I sincerely hope Stephen gets the help he needs. He was promptly dropped from a recurring role on ABC's Scandal and fired from the soon-to-be-released movie Ted 2. He also resigned from his spot on the national board of the Screen Actors Guild. He released a statement in December of 2014 where he admitted to inappropriate sexual conduct with 3 female minors. He said, 40 years ago, I did something terribly wrong that I deeply regret. I've been working to atone for it ever since. I've decided to address these issues publicly because 2 months ago, various news organizations published a recording made by my then wife during a confidential marriage therapy session in January of 2012. That session was recorded without the therapist or my knowledge or consent. On the recording, I described events that took place 20, 32, and 40 years ago. The publication of the recording has resulted in assumptions and innuendos about what I did that went far beyond what actually occurred. And as difficult as this is, I want people to know the truth. You know that feeling when your kids seem to ask you for a new snack every 3 minutes, but you're sick of giving them junk-filled options? This is why I love Thrive Market, my go-to online grocery store for getting all of my healthy essentials delivered, and I don't even have to leave my couch. And I don't know about you, but I want to be able to pronounce the ingredients on my kids' snack labels. There are over 10,000 food additives allowed in the US, and it's hard to know what's actually safe to eat. Again, another reason why I love Thrive Market. It's the no-junk online grocery store that bans over 1,000 harmful ingredients. So imagine this. My kids love Doritos. Now I can get them Late July Garden Ranch tortilla chips, and it is a dream. And guess what? I'm just tipping the iceberg here. There is so much more. With their online filters, it's going to make it simple to shop by the needs of everyone in your family. And trust me, I get it. We all have things that we love to eat. So get ready to make the switch. Go to thrivemarket.com/Kate Casey for 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/Kate Casey, thrivemarket.com/Kate Casey.
Don't miss Good American Family.
We have a little girl here for adoption. She has dwarfism.
Starring Ellen Pompeo and Mark Duplass.
Something is off.
She's just a little girl. You think she's faking?
She has adult teeth. There are signs of puberty.
Inspired by the shocking stories that tore a family apart.
I don't know what's going on.
How old are you?
You should get a lawyer.
You have no idea how those people hurt this girl.
The Hulu original series, Good American Family. New episodes Wednesdays, streaming on Hulu.
So he puts out this statement, and it's a complete shock. Again, he's played the Reverend Camden on Seventh Heaven. And that bombshell kicked off a chain of revelations. The next day, it came to light that he had been investigated by the Los Angeles Police Department 2 years prior, stemming from a report filed by a woman who claimed that he had molested her as a girl in the 1970s. You should know that she is interviewed in this series. Also notable, in an interview with Katie Couric that aired on ABC News 2020 in December of 2014, he said that he had absolutely not been a pedophile, claimed that the 3 underage girls he confessed to having sexual misconduct with were isolated incidents. He said there were 2 times in 1973 where he exposed himself to the young women, and he was 25 years old at the time, and the little girl was 10. He said to Katie Couric in that interview, I am absolutely not attracted physically or sexually attracted to children. He also denied that there had been more victims, saying that if more were to come forward claiming he had been appropriate with them, it would not be the truth. I didn't white knuckle this. I'm not fighting. It's not as if I miss therapy next week. Something's going to happen. I'm a human being. I have faults and I've done things that I deeply regret. He also told her that for the 20 years since he had been in intensive therapy, which had included therapeutic workshops, religious counseling, and a 12-step program. In discussing his difficult past, he speculated that the reason he committed these acts were because of something he had experienced in his own childhood. So the question really is, one of the questions in the series is, had he been hiding in plain sight? He was also an author, and when this all came to light, his writings came into a question. Eye Contact was his first novel in 1994, which chronicled the escapades of an exhibitionist woman. Then Double Exposure was published in 1998, was about a woman constantly battling an internal struggle to expose her naked body to others. One of his victims, the woman that is interviewed in the series, she noticed the parallels to her own experience. Now, in the series, the actor Jeremy London, who joined the main cast for its 7th and 8th season of Seventh Heaven between 2002 and 2004, he was interviewed. He played the young minister Chandler Hampton, who fills in for Reverend Camden, who steps away from the pulpit to undergo heart bypass surgery. He said that he never noticed anything about Stephen Collins working with young girls and extras, and he never crossed any lines of any kind. He said Stephen Collins was most certainly America's dad. I mean, I wanted him to be my dad. I still want him to be my dad. But when informed during the doc of the totality of his confessed acts, I should say, and the allegations made against him, he became very emotional. And I suspect a lot of people don't really understand the full scope of what he was alleged to have done. So Jeremy says, it's tough, it's hard. I'm a dad first and foremost above everything else. So my first thoughts always go to the children. So you can only imagine for some of the actors of that series, one that really is so tied to their success and so many special moments of their life, this must have been horrifying. According to Entertainment Weekly, last September, former Seventh Heaven cast members Beverly Mitchell, David Gallagher, and Mackenzie Rossman, all of whom played his children on the show, addressed his admission of abuse. So at the time, Beverly Mitchell said, before we get into this episode, we do think it's important that we say something about Stephen Collins. All forms of abuse, sexual abuse of any kind, are inexcusable. Victims of abuse need to be shown compassion and they should be given support. Gallagher continued, with Rossman adding, as we rewatch these episodes, it would be impossible not to talk about Stephen because he was such a big part of the show in our lives, but we want to be clear that we did not have any inappropriate experiences with Stephen. So as you can imagine, the people that worked on that show, they must be in headspins about it. Now, in the series, they say that producers said they reached out to more than 100 contacts of Stephen Collins, but nearly everyone declined to participate or did not respond. And a producer shared off camera that only men agreed to speak with documentarians about the experiences with Collins. There's also an actor who had appeared on that series that is interviewed. So in 2019, the Daily Mail reported that Stephen Collins and Jenny Nagel tied the knot and they were living together in the small town of Fairfield, Iowa. Now, Jenny Nagel is 40 years his senior, so younger. She's younger than him by 40 years. She reportedly posted about her love for the WB and CW drama in a Facebook post in 2010, confirming that she was very, very much a supporter of the show. So one of the experts in the series wonders if that didn't raise eyebrows as well, marrying someone 40 years younger who was a super fan of the show. So this is a 2-hour premiere of Hollywood Demons. One of his alleged victims comes forward in this shocking tell-all interview. It is very hard to hear, very upsetting, and reveals the disturbing truth about the actor that she had once idolized. Crew and castmates from this series include Jeremy London, as I mentioned. They also share their reactions to these accusations, leaving them reeling in the aftermath. So Hollywood Demons will air weekly beginning this week, Monday, March 24th. This specific episode about Stephen Collins airs at 9 p.m., and then it will be available to stream on Max. Make sure that you watch out for it. And the other episodes, there's one about a Power Ranger committed a crime. There's one about the Real Housewives, as I've mentioned. They're going to be 6 episodes, so make sure that you check that out. Also, again, make sure that you check out my What to Watch list. There is a true crime doc that I will be covering this week called Con Mom, and that is on Netflix. That is a wild story to hear about. And as noted, there are also reality shows on that list that you have to make sure that you check out this week. As always, I'm so grateful that you include me in your day. This is such a privilege to be able to bring to you so many stories that are featured in unscripted TV, so many great interviews with people who lead such fascinating lives and are great storytellers. And I want to make sure that you click subscribe. Please leave a 5-star review and make sure, again, that you join the Facebook group, Reality Life with KKC, and the bonus episodes at Patreon, patreon.com/KKC. Lastly, make sure that you follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @KKCCA, TikTok, it's KKC, and Twitter and Threads at @KKC. And make sure you check back tomorrow for an all-new episode.
Sasha hated sand, the way it stuck to things for weeks. So when Maddie shared a surf trip on Expedia Trip Planner, he hesitated. Then he added a hotel with a cliffside pool to the plan, and they both spent the week in the water. You were made to follow your whims. We were made to help find a place on the beach with a pool and a waterfall and a soaking tub and, of course, a great shower. Expedia, made to travel.